I-35 West Mississippi River Bridge by Kelly Warden. So I'm going to start off by talking about a little background on this case. The bridge opened in 1967 along I-35 West, and it goes over the Mississippi River in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is Minnesota's fifth busiest bridge, crossing with over 140,000 vehicles daily, and it's an 8-lane bridge stretching over 1,900 feet. So what happened in this case? The bridge collapsed on August 1st of 2007 at 6:05 p.m. The central span of the bridge collapsed first, and then the adjoining bridge collapsed. There were about 13 deaths and about 100 were injured. So let's just take a quick look at a clip of the media coverage.
This comes from a security camera near the bridge. It shows what happened when the bridge actually started to shake and then it collapsed. This is the I-35W bridge. It's a major artery here, basically connecting the Twin Cities. And as you said, it was jam-packed during the rush hour yesterday evening. It happened at about 6:05 Central Time. The bridge suddenly started to shake, and then section by section, it collapsed, sending some 50 cars 60 to 65 feet down into the waters of the Mississippi River. Now, it's important to note that the bridge was being repaired when this happened. Resurfacing operations were underway. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about that because, of course, people are wondering whether that could have contributed to this collapse. There were tragic stories here, as we mentioned, but there were also miracles as well. Some of the sections of the bridge collapsed almost intact. The cars on those sections landed in many cases upright. The people in them survived. And how about this for a miracle? There was a school bus just passing the mid-span on that bridge. 60 children inside, ages 4 to about 14. They were coming home from a day at a day camp where they were swimming. And that bridge collapsed. All of the children managed to escape alive. Some minor injuries, but they escaped alive. The news for others, not so good. As we mentioned, 4 confirmed deaths right now, and between 20 and 30 people are missing. That's going to send that death toll skyrocketing because officials here say they fear none of the missing have survived.
So that just showed a little clip of what happened, and as I said before, there were 13 deaths due to this incident, and about 100 people were injured. So let's go over some of the timeline of the event. In 1990, the I-35 West Bridge was rated structurally deficient due to corrosion to the barriers. In 1993, by law, bridges were supposed to be inspected every 2 years. However, because of the bridge's poor condition, annual inspections were deemed necessary. In 2001, there was a study done by the University of Minnesota, and they found signs of cracking and fatigue in the structure. In 2005, a bridge sufficiency rating was given, and it was only about 50% sufficient. And then finally, in January 2007, the same year that this incident occurred, the Internal Department of Transportation, there were documents that were found that discussed the probability of the bridge collapsing or even being condemned due to its poor condition. Some of the key organizations in this case were Severe Droop and Parcel, and they were the ones who actually designed the bridge, and it's thought to be that the actual design of the bridge was actually at fault originally. And Hercon Inc., an industrial construction company, they were actually the ones who built the bridge. So between those two organizations or companies, there was thought to be some fault in the original plans of building the bridge and during construction. The Minnesota Department of Transportation, they're the ones who have, they give the final say on whether you're going to go forward with building a new bridge and any repairs that happen. The National Transportation Safety Board, they're the ones that come out and they do the inspections of the bridge. University of Minnesota, like I said before, they did a study of the bridge structural. And the U.S. Department of Transportation's National Bridge Inventory, they're the ones who signed their safety rating to the bridges. Wiz Janey, Elster and Associates, Inc., they were the ones who actually did an analysis of why the bridge collapsed. So let's take a look at some of the engineering ethics in this case. I'm not going to read through all of these. These are the 6 functional canons, if you will, from the National Society of Professional Engineers. We're just going to go through a couple of these briefly. So the first one that we want to talk about in this case is hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public. In this case, there were some positive ethics that went on, and then obviously there's some opportunity for improvement of not so great things that went on in this case. A couple of the positive things is after they got such poor inspection ratings, there was a firm that was actually hired to analyze the bridge. So this showed, they were trying to figure out why they got such a poor inspection rating. However, they didn't do anything soon enough with that analysis, because shortly after the bridge did end up collapsing, and after the collapse, bridge inspections were more mandated in Minnesota for other bridges that had poorer ratings as well. So those were some positives. In this case, some opportunity for improvement in the ethics department was the original design was flawed, and someone most likely knew about it. So again, that goes to, speaking up and not just, relying on others to bring things to other people's attention. And it also goes to being honest and trustworthy. There's a lot of people who rely on you as an engineer for the safety, health, and welfare of the public, and you really need to step up if you know that there is a design flaw in something. Another opportunity for improvement, there were no timely repairs made. So going back to the timeline, you can see that this bridge was in pretty bad condition for at least over 10 years, and really no repairs had been made or any construction to repair it. And then also, I don't know if you caught it, but on the news clip that I showed, the bridge was actually overloaded due to them attempting to do construction. It was about 500,000 pounds overloaded on the bridge, and they never advised the public of this, and they never shut down the bridge. So they actually think that because the bridge was overloaded so much that eventually was why the bridge collapsed, even though there were poor structural damages for at least the past 10 years documented. So the next engineering ethic issue would be issue public statements only in an objective and truthful manner. So in this case, they actually did release information describing what went wrong when the bridge collapsed. However, they did limit and restrict the public from viewing the collapse on video, and this caused people to be angry because they were denied public information. This also goes into, engineering getting a bad reputation as a profession. So again, we want to make sure that we issue public statements in an objective and truthful manner, and don't really restrict or withhold information from the public. So lastly, let's go over some of the outcomes of the case. So the issue has in general made the nation more aware of the poor state of U.S. bridges. It went from being 29% were deficient in 1998 to now only 25% of those bridges are deficient. So we actually went down 4%, which is great. Engineers estimate that it would take 50 years to bring all the bridges up to safety standards. And eventually this bridge was actually replaced in 2008, and it was for $234 million. And this doesn't even include all the emergency and the recovery that had to go on after the bridge. This was literally just for the bridge to be built again. I mean, people estimate that it was upwards of $1 million a day that it cost the city. So, and then finally, the bridge was named the I-35W St. Anthony Falls Bridge, and it was opened to the public on September 18, 2008. Thank you.